This is a conceptual plan of basically two alternative water sources that we put together for you guys to think about. And I'll start getting in. I've already given you this fact sheet, and the reason we did this fact sheet was because we wanted to try and put a cost factor into 1,000 gallons of water that you produce, for the town produces and treats. And we wanted to put a cost of that so you could see that where you're at. And we came up with $3.62 per 1,000 gallons. And that included pretty much all the costs to produce the water, to treat the water, and included debt service for the wastewater treatment plant. What it did not include any indirect costs like your administration costs, we're billing those costs, Lewis's, Steve, everybody's input here at the town office, we didn't include any of those costs. So that 362 really, if you put in those costs, would be higher than that.
Do you mind if I interrupt while we go?
No, yeah.
What was the water study? What did they come up with a cost for? They said 1,000 gallons. Did they do 1,000 gallons or 10,000 gallons? Do you remember? And what was their analysis?
I don't know what that was reduced to that. I mean, they had all their information on our number of customers and they told us something, the cost, and they projected the cost for 7 trends for artesian water.
Right.
And for the salary wages and charge for water and sewer accounts. I don't recall seeing anything reduced to it per 1,000 gallon figure.
Right.
That may have been, that's what I just don't recall.
Can you check on that tomorrow?
Sure.
Thanks. That's all.
So, you know, when we looked at the cost, we added the debt service, but we also added the cost for artesian water in that cost. That $4 million total per year, 4.4 million per year. And that's, so that came in. And then down at the bottom of that page, we took out the artesian cost, and we took out the unaccounted for water cost, and that left you with 3.1 million. So the point was that to show you that if, you know, there is some cost savings here, if you could, you know, if you didn't have to pay that $380,000 for to buy water from artesian, or if you didn't have to, you know, if you could eliminate your unaccounted for water, or at least reduce your unaccounted for water from 21% down to, like, say, 10%,
Yep.
you could save a bundle. That was the point of that.
Yeah, the savings for artesian, you have $4.12 per 10,000 gallons. So 412, and it costs $362. So really, it's not a total savings of $380,000. It would be the cost difference between.
No, their cost is should be for something per 1,000.
4.16
Right.
or
Everything's based on 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, so that cost is $379,691 a year, based on $4 and $12 a thousand.
4.16.
Yeah, I think I wrote it down here somewhere.
So 4.116.
You got that here, 4.16 per 1,000. Rounded to 4.
Yeah, I rounded it off 412.
I got you. Yeah, it's on here.
Okay, so that was the whole point of that. So then you'd have an idea, what is it? The only thing it really doesn't do for you is it doesn't tell you it doesn't separate your water production costs from your wastewater costs. They're combined.
They're combined.
So I figured, you know, like, I don't know, 30% for water, or 33, 66 for wastewater, you know, that's fair. Okay, and then going on, this other spreadsheet, this gives you all the flows, water plant flows, surface water plant, well 1, well 3, and artesian flows in that spreadsheet. That's a nice thing. And this is 2013 numbers. And then the next sheet here, this wastewater spreadsheet, this gives you the total flows treated at the wastewater treatment plant. And it also gives you your loadings for 2013 for your total nitrogen, your total phosphorus, and your total total spent dollars. So that, this is a good sheet. This is a new requirement we're on a new permit right now, NPDS permit with NVE. And, so they started 2014, we'll present them with this sheet at the end of the year. This is something they just started. So we just filled it out for 2013, so you could see how we did in 2013, which we did excellent. I mean, excellent. We're way below the allowable loadings. The nitrogen is way below it. The phosphorus is unbelievably low, and the total spent dollars. So we did really, you did great. The new paint did well. Okay, so the next page here is, we talked about the phase one. And I know we've talked about this in the past somewhat, and then we talked about it not that long ago about utilizing Howard Pond or Cow Pond to, as a means to protect the water treatment plant and to control the quality water that the surface water treatment plant sees. And that, I think that alone is worth a lot. Just the ability to protect your raw water quality, to protect our water plant and to make sure that nothing gets into that water plant that could shut that plant down or hurt or make somebody sick or anything like that. I mean, to me, that is big. Just briefly, I'll tell you a little story. Many years ago, when I was a young man, I worked for the town of Perryville, right? And the town of Perryville had two sources of water. They originally got their water out of Mill Creek, and they had a Mill Creek water treatment plant. And then, as the town grew, they built a water treatment plant on the Susquehanna River, state of the art. And but when I came to work for them, we used both facilities. And the Mill Creek facility, it had a little Mill Creek, not a big creek. But anyway, the way they had it set up is they had a reservoir there. And they had a dam, and they would divert the water out of Mill Creek into this reservoir, and we would pull out of the reservoir to a treatment plant. Basically, kind of what we're saying here, we would like you to do with the pond, with the Howard Pond. Divert the water from Big Oak Creek into the pond, pull out of the pond, okay? And every time it rained, the mayor, Safato, would call me up, make sure, he said, Ken, don't forget to close the valve on the reservoir, so it does, all of a sudden it goes by the
I got you.
yeah, I don't have to call them. If we put the gates up there, we'll do that. What we would do is we would shut the gates every day. You know, we would open them in the morning. If the creek is good quality, we would close them every evening. And if it rained at nighttime, we wouldn't have to worry about it. And then if, say, we get the next day, we come in and we had 3 inches of rain that night, the Big Elk Creek is not fit to treat, we would just not open them up. We would pull out of the pond because we're gonna have plenty of capacity to not pull off the creek. Okay, so this page here, this option one, I'm gonna show you is,
Can the raceway can be cut off today with is there a valve to cut the?
no, those need to be replaced. We talked about
It can be shut off at the treatment plant.
But it can't be shut off, at the Big Elk Creek?
not yet.
Okay,
It used to have gates, Waterman valves,
okay,
gate valves. And those gate valves haven't worked in years.
okay.
Okay, so we're gonna replace them. Hopefully sooner than later, but the inability to not be able to isolate the race and the ponds is why the ponds filled up with sediment, okay? Because the race used to be,
You can't shut them down.
you can't isolate it. But we're hoping to get to do that, and we want to do that. So this phase here, what we did was, we looked at, if basically if you took Cow Pond and you added some other ponds, which I'll show you if you pull out this drawing here. You pull it out here. So this is just a conceptual plan. But it's the areas, the scale is accurate. These numbers are fairly accurate here, okay? And here's the water plant right here, down here in the corner, okay? And here's the existing cow pond, and here's the 2 or 3 little ponds, right at the end, okay? So what we were saying is, if you took these ponds here and you expanded them, and then you put one here, which is right up on along the Delaware Avenue, on the, what would be like the, east side of the creek, I guess. And take this hatchery and make a pond there, and then use this pond that's already there, okay, and you connect them all together, you could produce roughly about 150 million gallons of water in storage by doing that. Now, we also feel that, you know, these dimensions can be expanded. And if you could expand them to, say, 200 million gallons storage or 230 million gallons storage, you could meet your total demand right now. This is important. This is an important concept. Right now, the MDE requires you to purchase 1.5 million a day, right? They take that 1.5 and they multiply it by another 1.5, and it comes up to about 2.3, because they require you to have a peaking factor, okay? So they require you to buy the 1.5 million gallons from Artesian, and then they take your wells and they use your wells for a peaking factor. So you really don't have any capacity with your wells. So if you replaced your capacity, your 1.5 in standby with 1.5 or 2.3, you could totally eliminate the need to buy water from Artesian, and you would gain 100% not only of your water treatment plant, which is your 1.5 average daily flow, you would gain the capacity from your wells. So you would actually get about 600 and, here, I'll give you the figure right here.
Ken, would these ponds have to be cemented, or
No,
would they would they have to be covered?
no.
Could they still have fish?
Yes, yes. They can have fish. Not only can they have fish, but
And they still can be fished?
absolutely. And matter of fact, I envision this is what I see for the town. First of all, they don't have to be square. When they put ponds in, they put ponds in that are aesthetically pleasing to look at. They fit into topography, so that, you know, the contour, so they're good to look at. So these are just squares I put on paper to show you, but true volumes. I put them here to show you the area that you would need on this map to get 150 million gallons, okay? See, what I would like to see really is, you know, first of all, I think we can get grant money to do this from MDE, for this. There's a good chance we can get grant to do this. But later on, we could get grant money, and we could you guys could put a fishing pier around this pond here. You could have a park there. You could have fishing events. You could have people from all over could come and bass fishermen, for instance. You could have stock with bass. You could have bass fishing contests. You could have,
Well, you know, I guess our only challenge is we're in the floodplain. I don't know.
all these ponds are going to be in. I mean, that's a good thing. Let me go on. I got a lot.
You're getting me excited.
I'm excited.
But now let me add one sidebar here.
Okay.
Could you take Meadow Park and everything on the inside of the track, could it be the pond?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't think you need to do that. Okay? I think you have, if you could get a hold of, if you could get this. Now, if you can get this here, see, I don't know who owns this. If you could get it this.
We own it.
What-
That's Evans McKinney Park up there.
Sure, we own 110 acres.
Well, you've got plenty of, I would say, looking at this map, you have enough land to construct, to get that 260 million gallons of storage, okay? I don't think there's any problem with that. If you wanted to use Meadow Park, you could use Meadow Park. The thing about this is, using this area here, is they connect. It all
Connects, I see that, yeah.
So this line here that will come, okay, so let's go, because I want to answer questions as we go along. So this picture here, the only thing it shows you what the mayor and council looked at back in the 80s about running a 16-inch line into the treatment plant. That, I just wanted to show you, I've showed you that before about that you know, you guys had already looked at that. The next, on the other side of that though, I want to show you this, because what's cool about this, Mayor, Council, is that the gate valve's already there in place. When they built the plus treatment plant, they put the proposed 16-inch line in place for the raw water to connect to the pond. The really neat thing about that is it's the elevation of that line is 10 feet down, okay? Which means that you could gravity flow from these ponds here. You could gravity flow from this pond and this pond and this pond and take 10 feet of water out of those ponds, okay? But what we're proposing is that here at the water treatment plant, this drain line here would come, this pond and this pond would come together in a dry wall, and you'd have a pump, okay? And that pump would be able to pump these completely out when you needed to do maintenance, or if you needed to use, if 10 foot of water wasn't enough to meet your demand and you had to go down 15 feet or 20 feet, you would be able to use this pump, would then pump these out. But the line, the feed, the drain line would be 10 feet down in the ground, so it would go underneath Big Elk Creek, and it would come together right here next to the water treatment plant. This line will come together, and you'd have a pump there, and you'd have a bypass, so you could gravity flow around the pump, and then when you needed to use the pump, you would use the pump. Like say you needed to go in here and do some maintenance or something, and you could pump this down. The other thing about this one here, and this one here, and this pond, or these three ponds, is that they're going to be at all at the same elevation. So you could operate these ponds as not only storage ponds, but you can also operate them as surge ponds during the hurricane season, right? So say for instance, you know, we're looking at the weather, and the weatherman says, oh, you got a hurricane coming up the East Coast. It's going to get to, you know, Maryland in another week or so. Okay, so we can reduce the operating level in these ponds, okay, by pumping into the treatment plant, so that we can use these ponds that week later to actually store water.
Collect storm water.
Yeah, out of the creek. We can, the very top of the creek, as it's coming up, instead of spilling onto the road and in the Meadow Park, we could take that upper portion of flow in the creek and put it right in the ponds. We have that ability to do that. So the next picture, this is something I think I showed a lot of this earlier, but some of you haven't seen it. So this was an idea here, was that if you put these ponds in, you're going to have a lot of soil material. So what we figured, well, instead of stacking it over at the wastewater treatment plant on a field, or we could construct these berms, you know, down along Howard Street and behind the ball fields, protect the ball fields from flooding,
You can't put fill in the floodplain, it's a federal law. That's where we probably run into a problem, as the Corps of Engineers.
I think you could get permission to do that. They construct these berms along waterways all the time. I mean, the entire Mississippi River has berms all the way down it.
New Orleans too.
So I mean, it's not like they're not going to be stabilized. It's not like they're going to be taking that topsoil and just leaving it there. You're going to compact it. You're going to stabilize it. You're going to go grass on it. You're going to maintain it. You're going to cut it and mow it. But let me say this: over at the wastewater treatment plant, when they built the wastewater treatment plant many years ago, they constructed this berm along the creek that
Mhm.
protects the Wasted Pig plant from flooding. And it's a great idea. So now when we get hurricanes, we don't have the creek doesn't flow over the berm into the plant. So it works really well. But there's a lot of areas that if you could divert the water away from, like the businesses from Howard Street, over behind the park there, that it's all floodplains right there, if you could divert your flow over there, you could save a lot, prevent your businesses from flooding out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's worth thinking about.
What we're talking about, barrels in the air.
It was in, yeah, we had the Army Corps study, that was in 1999,
Okay.
that put the right levee and left levee and,
So, anyway, that was part of that plan. If you did, construct ponds and you needed a place to put your topsoil, because it's probably the best topsoil in the world, but, especially when you dredge, Howard Cow Pond, because it's been getting Pennsylvania's, topsoil for years, It's excellent material. And you look at it and say, oh my God, that's, but the other thing too is you can always sell it. I mean, you can get a lot of money, per cubic yard of topsoil or fill. I mean, even filled material gets good money, so you could get some of your money back. So anyway,
We got 3,200 cubic yards of material now.
a lot of it.
We could sell it, huh?
Mhm.
Not too cheap.
So anyway, that's pretty much option one. Now, a couple things about ponds. Most ponds, all ponds, are usually filled either by surface water supply or groundwater supply, okay? I believe Elkton is fortunate because the location of these ponds, I believe, would allow you to fill them not only with surface water, you could also fill these ponds with groundwater as well. Now, the way I envision operating these ponds, one of the ways I see is that I would fill all these ponds through cow pond, okay?
Mhm.
I would take the water through cow pond, through the race, into cow pond, into this pond, out this line, back up this line, and fill it this way, okay? Because one of the reasons I say that is because your permit allows you to pump 2 million gallons out of Big Elk Creek. That's maximum, okay? So typically, you're using about, on a day, about 1.55 million gallons. That's from all, their wells, that's from artesian, and that's from the water plant. So the goal would be to get, instead of, the goal is really to take all your water right now out of the creek and maximize the water from Big Elk Creek. And then use your wells for additional capacity. Okay, that to me, that's the way to go. So you can fill these ponds, these ponds here, with water on your existing withdrawal permit.
Mhm.
Right now, you could do that. So when you need to fill these, you can just fill them right like that, right through this line and this line, just fill them right up. Be very easy, okay? All right, so that's pretty much option right now. These ponds, I see would be fenced in because of their, they're somewhat included. I see, reduced liability, I see them being all fenced in.
You can't fence in a floodplain,
You can fence in this pond, I guarantee you.
not in a flood, well, that one might not be in floodplain. That's this one. I think that's out of the floodplain. Not sure, we have to look on a map.
You tell me that if you put in a holding pond here, a reservoir, the state's not going to put a fence around it?
It has nothing to do with whether it's a reservoir, it's a fencing for a floodplain, putting in into a floodplain.
I'm pretty sure if we get that far, we'll figure something out how.
To keep it safe, I mean, you
Well, yeah, there might be alternatives.
There'll be alternative.
Right.
We'll figure, if we get that far, we'll figure it out.
Well, and
Yeah, you gotta, sell this to MDE.
Right. We'll figure it out.
well, I can tell you, we could do some research and we could probably come up with hundreds of communities that have done this very thing. This is not unique, as a matter of fact, I will share this with you, that when we talked about this 4 or 5 years ago, I talked with John Grace about this, actually, and, you know, it's an acceptable practice. When I was with the city of Aberdeen, we had, the city of Aberdeen was in the same situation as Elkton was. When they took over the Aberdeen Proving Ground plant, the Chapel Hill was getting their water out of Deer Creek. And when they took over the Proving Ground utilities, they had received their new appropriation permit from the government. And the appropriation permit, guess what, says, okay, Deer Creek is an interruptible source, you have to get a backup source. Well, that's a 4 million gallon a day treatment plant, that all of a sudden now, the Army had to come up with a backup source, because it was no longer, they could no longer use their own source, so that's what they had to do. So they looked at building reservoirs, that was what I was, going at this. So we had engineering, we had Janet Fleming looked at, building reservoirs, but it wasn't that there was no property, in the vicinity to make it work. So it really, the cost, it wasn't cost effective, so they didn't go do that. Okay, so the next option is a combination of this option, basically. Because I didn't know what land that was available and whether you wanted to go with that. But if you didn't want to go with these additional ponds and you wanted to just, maybe go with the cow pond and these ponds, you could put in additional wells. So, let me just read this. This option would include the use of ponds for raw water storage and also the additional wells and treatment facilities. These wells would be located, this is our concept, around the Elk Landing site. The wells would be in that area, or the Frenchtown Road site. These wells would be angular plant wells, or collector wells, or they would be riverbank filtration wells. The treatment facilities would be located on town property that borders the front of Elk Landing, or the property located at the end of Frenchtown Road. This option would be used if the town was not able to secure land for the additional pond sites, or if the town wanted to increase their water capacity for growth. So, okay, so the next page, it gives you the current well capacity. So right now, this is these numbers are after the conservative. Right now, you can produce 900 gallons a minute at a safe yield for each well, which gives you 1.3 million gallons a day. But here again, the MD is only going to realize that 864,000, because every time they look at capacity, they divide it by 1.5, because if you've got to have that peak capacity. So really you only have 864,000 capacity. Okay, this next page here, this is really cool. This is a well down there at Elk Landing. It was, I don't know how old this well is. This is an old well. It's a brick well. And the thing about this well is that there is at the water level. The water level in this well is the same level as what's in Little Elk Creek.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's pretty important. That's a why. Well, because this well it's a dug well, and it's in a shallow aquifer, and the water aquifer is the same down there, is the same level as Big Elk Creek and Little Elk Creek come together, and Elk Creek is right there. So that's
Should never go dry.
It never go dry. That's the point. And then on the back page, we ran an analysis of the water out of the well, and the water's excellent. I mean, there's nothing there that you wouldn't want in your water. The iron level is pretty much non-detect. The hardness is good, alkalinity, pH. The fluoride level is extremely low, which is something else people, and the turbidity, this is right out of their well, is like 23, so it's excellent quality out of that well. So here, this next thing, this is the overall map of what you've got currently. And this shows what you have okay? Right here, okay, right here is your new well 5, okay? Right there, this is the wastewater plant, this is, we got a new well, and that well's gonna produce 150 gallon a minute, it's a good well, okay? And I put that in on that total I just gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, down here, okay, here's Elk Landing here, and this here is along the riverbed right here. There was like several sites that would be great for a well, an angular well, or even, yeah, I would say angular well. And here, down here, is right on the point. This is all wooded on here. Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
This here, I went down there and looked at, when we were looking for well sites with Jeff Gournett, he is the hydrogeologist.
Yeah, hydrogeologist
With KCI. And I worked with Jeff at the city of Aberdeen, when we were looking at expanding the wells there. And I showed him this site, and he was like, his eyes got real big, he said, wow. But anyway, this here, it would be another great site for a well. One, you could put one here. If you could get permission from, I don't know, someone, we might have to give you permission, but this site and this site are good possible alternatives for these shallow wells, these angular wells, that go down on an angle and that are high producing wells. That's the whole idea. So that would be a great, here's Elk River coming up. And
Isn't that also?
Yeah.
yeah, this
It's
is your
leased
property.
to historic Elk Landing Company, but it's our property.
But I would like to say something about that. A couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, they were doing an archaeological dig down there, and they were looking for the remnants of a stockade right in front of the manor house.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down there and I was talking to the archaeologist on site, and he pulled out a map. This map was from like the 1700s, and none of this was even there. This whole point, none of this was even on his map. He showed me. I said, I thought that was fascinating. His map pretty much ended here at the wood line.
Again, it's probably settled.
So all this probably was created over the last couple hundred years. This whole point.
Pennsylvania.
So, that Pennsylvania, exactly. So I wanted to see that. I got one more map that I want you to see. Now, this next thing in here is just an article on riverbank filtration technology. And I included this because there's 2 short articles here, and there's some pictures that show, you know, what basically what it is and the advantages of it. It touches the advantage of this riverbank filtration. It's very common throughout the United States. And one of the really neat things about it is a lot of times, like for instance, Perryville, when they built their water treatment plant on the Susquehanna River, they had to put their intake in that goes way out into the river. Millions and millions of dollars. Plus they had the Army Corps engineer had to approve it. I mean, it's a big deal to put an intake in out in the river. Okay, when you do riverbank filtration, you don't have that cost. You probably won't even have to talk to the Army Corps engineer. You know, you just want to talk to MDE and you're not going to even have to worry about this. It's just using the riverbank actually as a pre-treatment process, and it will help reduce your operating costs in the long run. So on the next page, after you can read the article, I don't want to read it, but you can read it when you get a chance. There's a lot of advantages to this process, and I just wanted to show you some pictures. This is down at Elk Landing. This is a picture of the riverbank down there, and the next picture is another picture of that area up down there. It's right on the riverbank. Okay. The next picture is, this is a drawing of an angular well. This is what an angular well looks like. And I wanted you to see that to get a feeling for what I was talking about, what that means. That's underneath the Hudson River. This next picture is just a picture of the property that sits in front of Elk Landing. That's right there. You have the cornfield there and the jail's right there. So I thought, you know, if you need to build a water treatment plant, which you probably would have to, it's a good chance, you know, maybe you could put it in there, maybe it'll be a good location. I think one location.
She was interested in seeing, but I mean, even though he's sharing it with the board, the idea, I see what she was just interested in what we was looking at.
Well, I'll tell
That
you
is
what.
with Elkton.
I'm the vice president of Elkton Foundation.
Yeah.
So when you start saying we'd like to build this, build
Well,
that.
wells, only wells.
Okay, I understand that, but the well you're talking about, is that the one in front of the stone house?
Yeah. Well.
That is on, that part of the property is under the Maryland Historic District. Okay? We can't even change the color of the porch without their approval. Okay? I don't see how they're gonna let you build a well in front of that historic property.
Well, we could maybe put it next to the fire hydrant that we have there. I was just thinking, I'd have a fire
There you
hydrant
go.
that goes at the road. I mean, a well.
These are life safety, this comes down to where it's you know, we got a lot of issues that we have to work out if this town, if the board wanted to move forward with it, but I certainly understand where you're coming from with the MT.
Yeah. And also, I mean, it is a historic property. I mean, I don't know what this well would look like. I have no clue.
Well, you could, wouldn't even necessarily see it.
You wouldn't see it. It's the same-
You could put a well in and not even know it was there. You know, when you know, like you go down there right now and you see the fire hydrant there, you wouldn't necessarily have to see the well. And the well would be, if the well would be, here, let me show you this picture here. This is one location. This is on the right side. This is Big Elk, this is Little Elk Creek right here. Okay, so I mean, you could put a well here on a riverbank well, okay, or right in here somewhere.
That behind the stone house, I cut that away.
That is Rebecca's
I
house,
have
yeah.
a piece of property.
Yeah, it is. But this property here, I don't think, actually, this is where if you had to put a water plan, you put a water plan in here and not even be on the, that.
Well, see, this is the old split rail fence. We've replaced that the past couple of years, okay? This property, pretty much all the way up to the water plant, has been leased to Elkton. And this is the argument I would have. If you were going to construct a building here, okay,
How about over here next to the plant, the jail?
part of that land is county. I don't know how far, I don't know where the land, where the dividing line is. But I've been begging for years to have a parking lot. And we've been told you cannot build anything on there because it has to be, because it's in floodplain. You can't asphalt it, you can't gravel. Yeah.
I think what it really comes down to is looking at the different phases and then trying to figure out what is suitable to everybody. Absolutely agree with you. I wouldn't
I mean,
do
I
anything to
would,
jeopardize anybody, but first of all, we got to figure out which phase we would want to go with even to try to explore, and it's always the devil's in the details.
there's a lot of property, I call it the prison road, simply because I don't know what the name of the road is. On the other side, on, say, the Route 40 side of the prison road, okay? There's a lot of property there that I can't ever actually see Elk Lane being used at this point, okay? Not unless somebody endows it for about $7 million, you know, to do something there.
Well, we just put a well on that property.
Yeah.
I'm just excited that we have options.
Yeah, let me
Yeah.
just show you
I
guys one
like
more
your
thing.
options,
Let me
but-
show you one more thing. This made me make you feel better, okay? This last picture, okay?
How many visitors did we have last year at Elk Landing?
Since January, no. It's closed, still closed. Because of the flood.
Hmm.
Yeah. The year before that, I'd actually have to get the book out. Now, in,
And I'm
October-
sorry, Ken, I just wanted to ask.
On October 26th, I believe it was,
Mhm.
we had about 220 come down for our baseball.
It's very cool down there. I like it. I saw it, but I think
Mary Beth,
it's so awesome. It
that
could be really.
is on, we've kind of discussed last night. I guess my concern is we're getting ready to invest because of the house suffering the damage it did, okay? As a board, we feel like, okay, now's the time to get this house the way we want it. And we're getting ready to invest a lot of money on the interior of the house, so we can have a beautiful background for weddings and do outdoor venues down there, picnics, bring a volleyball court, family reunions, that type of thing. So I'm a little bit leery when something might be popping up on the property.
This is all conceptual. I mean, it's just different phases to look into water for the future, not, nothing that's happening.
Oh, I understand that, but as a board member, I can't just sit here and say, well, that sounds okay to me.
And listen, I'm a board member also.
Yeah. And if somebody was talking to you about, well, okay, you haven't been there yet, have you?
I haven't even.
I'll call you out.
Well, listen, I'm gonna call you out. When am I gonna get invited to come to the meetings?
Put your email.
There hasn't been any. If
You
you're
gotta
sending,
change, you probably have to change mayors, Pat.
it's probably going to the mayor at,
No, it's not.
Elkton.org.
No, it's coming to, okay, we discussed this last night.
I thought
He was gonna get,
no,
check it, get, Robert Alt at Elkton.org.
Robert Dot,
Robert Dot.
yes.
Robert Dodd.
And,
Pat, send it to me. Send it to me.
I think he was gonna get an email this morning.
and I need to get the agenda. The one time that I did get it forwarded to me, it happened like, the day before I knew there was even a meeting. Because I want to appoint another person. I'm
That's
gonna,
Josh.
Okay.
That's all on Josh.
but I'm also gonna appoint another person to the historic board. I just want to make everyone aware of that. There will be two appointments to that.
Second Tuesday of every month.
Okay, I'll put it in there then. All right, Ken, I'm sorry. We got the
I'm sorry,
radio.
I'm sorry to barge
I'm
in.
gonna put that down there
I
again.
mean, this is a good site for wells, okay? I don't want you to do anything that's gonna take away from the historical
No,
integrity,
it wouldn't.
I have to protect what's mine.
I think it could achieve both things. That's my opinion, but I'm not on the board, so. But anyway, one more final picture, okay? And it's a very not a good, it's not a good picture, but I wanted to show you this because I think that this property here is being donated by the developer that wants to build that property along Frenchtown Road and 213. And it shows where the new well 4A is. And up here in this corner, it shows in that other drawing, I gave you in this big drawing,
Yeah.
it shows both the wells
Oh.
on this property, okay?
So that was the other well you were talking about.
Well, no, but down here, at the bottom, at the end of Frenchtown Road here, on the right, is the property that I understood he was gonna donate to the town, and that's, at least that's what I thought was gonna happen. So, you could put, if you wanted to, this could be, you could put your water treatment plant right there, and you could put a collection well right there. And this is what a collection well was. It's a raining well. This is the way this is kind of the way they look. So you drill, you go down and then you put your laterals, you go out and with your laterals underneath the waterway. And you don't have to have an intake going out to the river or anything like that. And this site here, I was down there, it's a great looking site. Of course, it's wooded, you'd have to clear it. But the proximity is really close to this community here. It's at Pennsylvania Court down there. And then, of course, if you ever if you ever develop this site, you'll be right there. So you'll have plenty of water lines to get into the town. I mean, you'll have the infrastructure there in place. So it's not that far away. But, in order to do that, you're looking at big money. You're looking probably at about, maybe $20 million or more to put a well in there. I mean, a water treatment plant.
What's your water rates?
Where's that energy company at? Where's that grant at?
Your water rates now are cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going down.
But that's probably the truth. That's probably, but the problem with that is, it gets back to square one. Because if you build another treatment plant and put in a whole new source of water, what are you going to do with your existing water plant? Because it's only going to replace the capacity that you don't have because it's an interruptible source. So you'd be stuck at that point to buy water from artesian. Okay? If you want to get out of that agreement, or if you want to go with, controlling your own destiny type of thing, then, in my opinion, the best idea is to convert your ponds to world-water reservoirs. And
I like that
stock
concept.
them with bass fish, and then have the bass tournaments and fill the
Okay,
hotel
concept.
with people coming from all over the
Yeah,
country.
you
to
put
fish
it on
the
the front,
pond.
but they said those it was, what kind of water,
Trout.
the trout, yeah. Nice to have some bass out there.
Bass fish is big.
Yeah.
What are we doing in the bass
I
tournament?
know, I said, well, it's the holidays, we don't
Well,
need to
can't-
discuss it yet.
Oh, is there more?
Well, the last page is, okay, the last couple.
I
pages.
saw something about test well.
Yeah, I get your proposal there,
You take a hold of
a
it.
cost.
Yeah.
If you wanted to answer a couple questions, okay?
Get out the little separate.
I'll turn around, it's confused. Okay, I got a quote from Schulte to put in a 2-inch exploratory well.
Right-hand side of the.
What that would do for you, right, say, if you wanted to know,
The double.
because
Parking lot.
if you turn this over to an engineer, the first thing they're gonna wanna do is they're gonna wanna put in these exploratory wells, because they're gonna wanna know where the water table is. Like, it's like across from, the water treatment plant, on the other side of the big old creek, that lot there, say you wanna put in a reservoir there. One of the things you're gonna know is you're gonna wanna put in these, monitoring wells. They're not really gonna be monitoring wells, they're just gonna be, boreholes. But they'll tell you what kind of, soils are there. They're gonna tell you what kind of, whether there's sand there. They're gonna tell you where the water table's at. They can also tell you what they recharge at, the rate of recharge in that area, which is important to know. And then you could get an idea of, when you dig a pond, you get a drag line machine out there to start digging these ponds. The engineer's gonna want that information. So that was what that was for. The other thing is if you wanted to see, like, for instance, over Marina Parkside, over there, along Big Elk Creek, if you wanted to get an idea of what kind of soil is, the sediments there next to the creek, that would be a good way of finding out, because then it would tell you what, at that location, what the viability is of these putting in an angular well. What would it give you?
Gotcha.
500 gallon a minute,
Right.
1,000 gallon a minute, that kind of thing. So that was why I was looking at place on
Well, very good. Well, Ken, thank you. It was an eye-opening presentation, and there is a lot to think about. And believe me, I don't think that we're all that far off with my thinking, and I know DJ kind of made the same thing, and the rest of the boards, but whether or not, I went through that whole process with the Army Corps of Engineers, and so did you.
That's right.
And you remember, if there was, every time we would say this, they would say, no. You could say, no. Can we do, don't even ask. It got to the point at sometimes, but I think it's well worth, listen, if we can create storage on our own property and create that type of volume, we're foolish not to take that extra step to see if that's something we can do.
It's true.
Yes, Mr.
How much longer do you have on the contract with Artesian?
2019.
20 years.
Oh, okay.
2019.
Okay,
Yep.
God.
I know.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you said 20.
Well, with that, 6:10, this meeting is adjourned.